Hi, Con Maestro here. Welcome to the Con's Court. Today we have a couple different things to talk about. They are about Disney Star Wars. I don't cover a whole lot of Star Wars stuff anymore due to the fact that Disney, for the most part, with most of their projects, either kind of drops the ball or goes in a direction with Star Wars now that I no longer like and I no longer recognize from a lot of the older stuff. But with all of that being discarded, we're going to leave all of their mistakes and junk in the past. I'm trying to take stuff for what it is in the moment and kind of ignore all of their past failures, because if we go off of their past failures, we will be here all day. And we don't need to do that. We need to move on and look ahead to a future, hopefully a brighter future of content and things, whether it be movies, shows, etc. So, a lot of this stuff will probably either get taken down if I show it, or I'll get some type of like copyright thing on this video if I show a whole lot. So I'm only going to show a few pictures and stuff about this due to that, because Disney is very strict about that. In fact, Disney hasn't even shown the trailers publicly to anybody. They were like in exclusive events and stuff like that. So the things I'm talking about for the most part is just going to be kind of narrating what I have seen on other videos that have not been taken down and or have been hit with strikes that the creators didn't care about. So first and foremost, there is going to be a Disney Plus show, an animated show called Maul Shadow Lord. It's going to be a very, very cool show from what it looks like. I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I saw in the trailer myself. One being the main villain that will be, one of, if not the main villain of this series. It's going to be Marok, which is an Inquisitor. So that is very interesting. We've seen him before, and he seems to be the main antagonist or the main villain, villain with quotations, of this show. And the reason I put him in quotations is because Maul obviously is a villain himself. This is a villain-oriented show about Darth Maul. Just Maul now, as he put it in Rebels. Once Darth, now Maul. The other thing that I saw, given everything that I saw between the Inquisitor being the main protagonist, or not protagonist, antagonist, villain, seeing a bunch of different characters, some different things with the story, it seems that this will be taking place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, the first movie of the originals, the OG trilogy. Maul has also, in this trailer, been training a Twi'lek apprentice. I believe I'm saying that right, Twi'lek. That is the race of aliens that we normally see female versions of, that we've seen in Clone Wars. We also saw them in the original trilogy, and we saw them in the prequel trilogy. They were mainly known to be slaves. They were a race that was constantly enslaved by other races. So we know about them. This Twi'lek apprentice also is red. So that kind of sticks out, because we know in Star Wars Legends, there was a red Twi'lek that was supposed to be with and around Darth Maul, which she went by the name of Darth Talon. She was also another Sith assassin or a Sith, whether it be an apprentice to Maul or, her own master. She was her own thing. It seems that they're going to possibly be going down the same route and making a new version of Darth Talon. Whether she will actually be a Sith apprentice to Maul and or she's just some Sith assassin is completely not explained. We have no clue what her part will be. I'm assuming she's going to be an apprentice. I'm assuming, because Maul is teaching her. And given his last apprentice, his brother, was murdered by Darth Sidious, he is now open for a new apprentice. So it would make sense. Probably Darth Talon. She did not have any of those black tattoos or anything like she normally did. Kind of like how the Zabraks have their own tattoos as well. Darth Maul, for example, and his brother. So she doesn't have any of that, but she could eventually get those. tattoos and become Darth Talon. This is kind of going back to like the old George Lucas Maul and Darth Talon ideas, because the original trilogy, after the original trilogy, going on to what Luke and Leia would have to deal with after, Maul was actually still going to be alive with Darth Talon. Darth Talon would have been his apprentice, and they would have tried to take over the galaxy and make the Empire theirs. That was actually going to be one of the original ideas for George Lucas. He was going to be one of the big main villains of the next trilogy, and that ended up not happening. We ended up getting the sequels. So, this might be going back to some of George Lucas's old ideas and kind of changing them up for them to fit into Disney's Star Wars lore now. Kind of in between, like I said, the prequels and the original trilogy, which is very interesting, and I am very excited to see what they do with that show. So that is really cool. That will be Maul Shadow Lord. Moving on, we have Mando and Grogu. I remember them saying that this was going to end up being a movie, but this also could be a series. I don't remember ever being specified on what I ended up watching some of the scenes on. So we're going to move to that, Mando and Grogu. The date should be 2026. I didn't see a date for Maul Shadow Lord. It's probably going to be around the same time, if not very close and soon. But Mando and Grogu, I did see the date. It said 26. So that should be the time period in which this will be around coming out. Some of the first things that I noticed that really stood out about this is we got to see Mando and Grogu, flying around, Mando having his jetpack, Mando going in, fighting a bunch of clone troopers and trying to drive this walker across this snowy area, and you've got all these giant AT-AT walkers that are shooting and firing at him. One big gigantic battle, which will probably be a crazy combat scene in this movie/show, whichever it is. Another thing that really stood out to me is we had Rada the Hutt. If you guys know anything about Clone Wars, Rada the Hutt is the baby that was saved by Anakin. The baby was trying to be, I believe, either taken or killed. It's been a while since I've watched Clone Wars all the way through, so I can't remember directly. Rada was the son of Jabba, or is, I should say. Rada is the son of Jabba the Hutt. And he was saved by Anakin, like I said. Rada the Hutt is huge now. Massive. One big old dude. This is multiple years now after him being a baby, after him being saved by Anakin and Obi-Wan. This is now, Rada is ginormous. He's got gigantic muscles. He seems to be possibly a gladiator in a coliseum because there's a giant crowd. He seems to be in a coliseum. He's got his arms up and he's like, "Hurrah!" It's insane. He looks ginormous. And a lot of the Hutts, the Hutt species, is supposed to be more muscular anyways. Jabba was the only one that we mainly saw, unless you're talking about Clone Wars. When it came to the original trilogy, when we saw Jabba, he was always this big, fat slug that was very lazy and sluggish and very a big glutton. He ate a lot, and that is not how the Hutts are supposed to be. A normal Hutt is supposed to be very muscular and very much a powerhouse. And that seems to be what Rada the Hutt is. He saw how his father was living and said, nope, I'm hitting the gym. This dude is massive. That's probably going to be one of the images I actually end up showing you. I'm going to risk it for the biscuit and show you because this dude is big. I can't wait to see him in live action. We've got to see him, like I said, in animated form in the Clone Wars as a baby. Now we get to see him as an adult in full form. And like I said, ripped. Rada will be voiced supposedly by Jeremy Allen White. This was a guy that has played in multiple different movies. He's a younger guy with curly hair. He's played in, what's that one show? I believe it's Shameless. He was one of the Gallaghers. So he was one of the sons in the Gallagher family. So if you have ever seen the show Shameless, I believe he was in that. He also played in a movie where he was a cook, a professional cook. So he's also been in that. I can't remember the name of that. I watched it a long time ago. But he has played in a couple different things and a couple different drama movies and shows and stuff like that. He's not a super big name, but a lot of people know him. So he's not overtly popular, but he's popular enough to where his name actually does kind of ring a little bit of bells for me. So that will be the voice of the adult Rada, which I found kind of interesting, given how big Rada the Hutt looks. I figured he would have a deeper voice, especially because his father, Jabba, had, you know, Umbalaka. He had the big, deep voice. He had that giant, deep Hutt voice, you know, when he talked. So it's kind of funny to hear somebody like Jeremy Allen White going to voice him. It's kind of odd. Granted, this is a younger Hutt, so maybe that's the reason why, but I just find it kind of funny that he's going to be voicing him. Because he doesn't have an overtly deep voice, at least in any of the things that I've seen. Maybe he's a very good voice actor and can change his voice very well. And then the last thing that I saw that really stuck to me about the Mando and Grogu show/movie is Zeb. Zeb shows up. Zeb is from Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, the animated show. Zeb is one of those, I forgot what the species name is, but he's one of the main characters in there. He's an alien, and I mean a full-on alien. He kind of resembles a cat almost. There's some cool parts about Zeb as a character, and I'm glad to see him back. Although he's not one of my favorite characters from Rebels, he is definitely up there as a character that I'm interested to see back. And interested to see how he will communicate and kind of interact with somebody like Mando and Grogu, since they have already met people like Ahsoka. But yeah, those were the main things that I saw from the Mando and Grogu trailer, which I thought really stuck to me. Rada, who Rada is voiced by, and Zeb, and then Mando fighting all those clone troopers. There wasn't really anything else that kind of stuck with me or got my attention. And when it come to Maul and the Shadow Lord, you know, the villain being the Inquisitor, Morak, you know, it being between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and, you know, Maul training the Twi'lek apprentice who could be Darth Talon, kind of using some of the old George Lucas ideas. Those were kind of the only things that I noticed from these two different shows/movies that really, really stuck out. And I'm very excited to see how each one of those performs, to see what they have for us, what they will continue to expand and extend on when it comes to the Star Wars lore, what more we will learn about these characters and know about these characters and these timelines. So, with that being said, guys, if you all enjoyed my explanation of what is coming up soon with some new Star Wars stuff that will be out, show and movie-wise, if you enjoyed me explaining it, if you enjoyed all the different little details I gave you, and you are excited about this, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you all thought about this. And as always, I will catch you on the next video. Peace.